The Bellamy at Milledgeville, community and lifestyle for the modern college student. Close to campus, fully gated, and a full-service professional staff. Come take a tour at the Bellamy or apply today at BellamyMilledgeville.com.
Hello and welcome to an abbreviated post-election edition of GC360, where news comes full circle. I'm Emmett Schindler.
And I'm Kat Capstick. We bring you news from the Georgia College campus and across the Milledgeville community.
And today, we would like to wish Georgia College a happy birthday.
It's the 129th birthday of Georgia College. Go Bobcats! Coming up on GC360. We covered election night on Tuesday, but if you missed the results, we've got you covered.
It's time for basketball at Georgia College. Our sports team has your weekly updates. And later, our very own French student, Elise Denoulet, tries American cuisine. You don't want to miss her reaction. Stay with us.
Don Chalice, the Chief of Police and Director of Public Safety, will be leaving Georgia College for Capital One in Virginia.
How often does
as he will continue working for them through January 3rd, 2019. Georgia College is looking for an interim director of public safety to take his place, and a search for a permanent replacement will take place in the future.
New cases or new concerns, sometimes we just evaluate the old concerns.
We'll keep you updated when a new police chief is hired.
Let's recap results from Tuesday's election. We'll look at the governor's race first. The outcome statewide still is not settled.
Republican Brian Kemp is leading overall, has declared victory, and resigned as Georgia Secretary of State. But Democrat Stacey Abrams has refused to concede, and it's possible that when all absentee and provisional ballots are counted, the race will head to a runoff on December 4th.
In Baldwin County, with all but some provisional and absentee ballots counted, Abrams is winning by 50 votes. Abrams has 7,785 votes, or 49.8%, and Kemp has 7,735 votes, or 49.48%.
We also have results for the U.S. House District 10 race. Incumbent Republican Jody Hice won the county with 7,839 votes, or 51.3% of the total. Democratic challenger Tabitha Johnson Green captured 7,432 votes, or 48.6% of the total.
The T-SPLOST initiative that would have raised sales tax in Baldwin County by 1 percentage point to fund road repairs went down to defeat.
With all of the precincts in, the final results are: the T-SPLOST has 6,531 yes votes, or 47.5%, to 6,977 no votes, or 48.18%. Voters in Baldwin County approved all 5 constitutional amendments on the ballot,
not including provisional ballots, which should be tallied by Friday. Here are the results. Amendment 1 would set aside some sales tax revenue on outdoor goods to buy public land and maintain state parks. Amendment 1 has 11,757 yes votes in the county to 3,189 no.
Amendment 2 would set up a special court system for complicated business cases. The Amendment 2 has 9,542 yes votes to 4,957 no in Baldwin County.
Amendment 3 would change how timberland is taxed. Amendment 3 has 8,232 yes to 6,018 no.
Amendment 4 makes it a constitutional right for crime victims to be informed when perpetrators are released from prison. This one is called Marsy's Law. Amendment 4 has 11,693 yes to 3,133 no.
And Amendment 5 applies to school funding in counties with more than one school district. Amendment 5 has 9,060 yes to 5,407 no. We sent GC 360's Alec Dubois out to talk to people about the election results, both national and local.
In the wake of the 2018 election, the Democratic Party has retaken the House of Representatives, and the Republicans gain a greater majority in the Senate. We sampled some local reactions.
Well, I'm glad for the Democrats. Not so happy about the Republicans, because there's going to be more fighting, more arguing and everything. I wish they had won both sides, but hey, it's politics. So.
I don't have too much of a strong opinion on it myself. I think times are changing and we need change in order to carry on with the rest of the world.
I think it's going to lead to what we've had already, which is a lot of stalling, a lot of inability to get things done.
Republican Brian Kemp appears to have won the governor's race, even with 20,000 provisional votes still being counted. Abrams supporters are still hopeful she could pull it out.
Now that's very close one. It's a tough one to call. I think one is like 49% and the other one's like 50%. So it's going to be close. But I'm hoping the Democrat, Miss Abrams, I hope she wins. She'll make history if she wins.
I think unless Abrams pulled away with most of the votes in the runaway, then Kemp has it.
Personally, I think Brian Kemp is going to win. He's a Republican, and this is a pretty traditionally red state. He ran a pretty innovative campaign, let's say, more of a Trump-style campaign.
All of the constitutional amendments on the Georgia ballot passed. Some people were happy about Amendment 4, which gives more rights to crime victims to confront their perpetrators.
I do like that. I do like that a lot. I actually am happy Amendment 4 was passed. So
People had mixed views on how influential young voters were in this election.
I've talked to a lot of students, younger people, who didn't go out to vote because they figure it's a lost cause. They go like, well, they're going to have their way, they're going to do what they want. But no, go out and vote. You can change things. You can change it. Your one vote does count, and you can change things. And I wish more young people would get out and vote. People have sacrificed a lot for us to have a right to vote.
I think it was extremely passionate, the amount of people that actually voted, and I think it's great, no matter who you voted for, that you went out and voted and performed your civic duty.
The new governor of Georgia, whoever it turns out to be, will take office in January 2019. For GC 360, this is Alec Dubois.
For more on what the election means for us here in Milledgeville, we're pleased to be joined by journalist Daniel McDonald, who is also operations manager for radio station WRGC. Welcome to GC 360, Daniel.
Thank you for the invitation.
So we just talked about the Congressional District 10 race, in which incumbent Jody Hice defeated Democratic newcomer Tabitha Johnson Green. What does the proportions of those votes mean for this county?
Well, this is a heavily Republican district. It's one that's been gerrymandered a little bit to be even further in the Republicans' favor. Of course, we were represented by John Barrow not too many years ago. So when you look at the makeup of this district, it really is a Republican-heavy district. I think they were putting it at R+16 beforehand. That hindered Tabitha Johnson Green's chances. She was a political newcomer, did not have a lot of name recognition in this area, and really kind of was an upset winner in the Democratic primary back in May.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a big surprise. And then also we talked about the T-Splost and how that failed. Was that surprising?
It was somewhat of a surprise, especially up on the county courthouse. It was a little bit of a surprise. Of course, back in May, the regional T-Splost, 11 county T-Splost for Middle Georgia was on the ballot. And here in Baldwin County, it actually won by, I believe, a 55% to 45% margin. With that in mind, county administrators, the county commission in the city of Milledgeville tried to put it back on the ballot with hopes that they could pass it again. But unfortunately, that was not the case. I know that there was a lot of late in the game advertisements coming out against it. And of course, that failed it in the final count on Tuesday.
Wow, that is surprising that it did shift against its favor. So T-Splost raises money for transportation. What was it going to be used for specifically here in our county?
Well, here in our county, they really wanted to put it towards road repaving. When you talk to county commissioners, city administrators, they're looking at many decades of time between when a road can be paved and then repaved. Anyone driving around our county will see that there are areas that have gotten some of that love from state funds and have been repaved, but a lot of times the local governments are on their own. Of course, our transportation system out in many of the rural counties, but especially here in Baldwin County, it was built out at a time when the state was more generous with some of those road repaving funds. That has all but shriveled up here locally as well as across the state. And so they were really hoping that they could get people involved in just kind of taking ownership of this road system that we have here.
Absolutely. I do know that we do struggle a little bit with potholes in certain areas of Milledgeville. I know a lot of students can attest to sort of in apartment complex areas or more neighborhood areas, that is a problem. So were there any other surprises that you saw in terms of the amendments? Were you surprised that Marcy's Law passed the way it did?
Well, I wasn't really surprised about any of the amendments. Going out and talking to voters, all of those amendments always come up late in the game. They're always focused on the faces and the individuals, the names, and then it's kind of spent in those last 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even as early voting has already started, that they're going back and looking at the amendments. I know that there was conversation mostly put out by advocacy groups for Amendment 1. Marcy's Law, in my talking with voters, there was a lot of confusion about it, wondering whether the language that was on the ballots was actually what would happen should the law be brought into fruition.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of early voting, was there, in your opinion, a significant increase in early voting this year?
Well, there was a lot of early voting, and I think that's a change that's coming out over time. Early voting is not that new here, and I think it's incumbent upon the campaigns to really start addressing that more often. But we had a huge amount of early voting. I think it was roughly about 33% of people actually early voted in person. There was another 1,500 or 1,600 absentee ballot requests put in there. People just love the convenience, but again, I think it's time, if you haven't yet, your campaign needs to tool itself up to really be hitting voters early and before early voting starts, as well as for our news organizations.
Absolutely. And what do you think is the biggest benefit of early voting? Do you think it's the fact that it can be used to help predict how the election's going to go? Is it the convenience? Is it the accessibility?
Well, I mean, for the voter, it's got to be convenience. But, you know, for the taxpayer, it's actually very expensive to have early voting go on for as long as it does.
That is surprising. So in terms of this county, we've spoken about how this is a Republican stronghold or a Republican area, but is Milledgeville itself heavily more Democrat, or is it more of a purple here?
It's growing to be more purple. When I first moved here 10 years ago, the Democratic Party was really strong in this area. And I even remember going out to a Republican Party meeting early when I got here about 10 years ago. And I mean, there was a handful of people there. But as we've seen candidates like Rusty Kidd in the State House, Rick Williams in the State House, and you go out to their events, it really is growing in popularity here. So Democrats can't, you know, sit back on their laurels and expect that this will continue to be a Democratic stronghold.
Yeah, it's going to have to, I assume, be a bigger push. And do you think that's going to mean that there's more attention on areas like Middle Georgia for political races in the future?
I don't really see too much of a change. I mean, except for when you talk about the broader trend of Republicans having more inroads here in Baldwin County. It's still a small population county, so I don't expect that we'll see too much more attention in the statewide races. Of course, Stacey Abrams, the Democratic candidate for governor, was very well known here. She had campaigned for a lot of local candidates here throughout the years. She was very well known. Brian Kemp, with his ties to our legislative delegation, also made his face known here as well. So I think it will probably stay the same as one of those smaller but still significant population, small communities.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your input.
It was my pleasure, and thank you again.
Coming up, our sports team has your weekly update.
We'll give you your weekly stats and catch up with some intramural legends.
Find out how the women's soccer and volleyball teams finished out their seasons.
We'll be right back after the break.
The Bellamy at Milledgeville, community and lifestyle for the modern college student. Close to campus, fully gated, and a full-service professional staff. Come take a tour at the Bellamy or apply today at bellamymilledgeville.com.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Listen now, can you hear the bluebirds? Oh, look up now, can you feel the sun? Whoa, 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 whoa. Can you feel the sun?
Welcome back to GC360. It's time for your weekly sports update. I'm Quinn Rafferty.
And I'm Herndon Lee. The Georgia College women's soccer team lost a heartbreaker on Sunday and finished second in the Peach Belt Conference tournament, losing in the finals to #1 seed Columbus State on penalty kicks.
No goals were scored in regulation or in 2 overtime periods. The Lady Bobcats were 7th seed.
Georgia College got into the finals by beating #6 Young Harris in a semifinal game Friday 2-1 in overtime. Both postseason's games were played in Evans, Georgia.
Turning to Georgia College volleyball, the Bobcats finished their regular season with a 14-11 record.
They will take on Flagler in a conference quarterfinal match on Saturday at Greenwood, South Carolina. As the two teams wrapped up their seasons, Georgia College 2 basketball teams will begin theirs this weekend.
The women's basketball team will open their season with 2 games, one on Friday and another on Saturday, played at a neutral location in Morrow, Georgia. They will face off against number 21 nationally ranked Wingate on Friday, followed by Anderson, South Carolina on Saturday.
The Georgia College men's basketball team is set to open their season this Friday, November 9th, against Erickson. They will play in North Greenville on Saturday. Both games will be played in Dahlonega. Head coach Mark Gaines has high expectations for the team with more returning players than for 3 years ago, when the Bobcats were ranked in the region poll.
The team boasts 5 sophomores, 3 of whom started for Bobcats last year as freshmen, led by seniors number 10 Isaac Thomas and number 20 Desmond Mitchell LaFlamme. Coach Gaines believes the Bobcats should shoot their ball very well with good sportsmanship all around.
And that's all your game coverage for this week.
Georgia College's intramural season is in full swing and the competition is heating up.
That's right. The campus's sororities and fraternities compete in intramural games, all for the chance to win the Greek Cup during Greek Week.
Some players really make their mark and help their organization get the wins they need to advance in the standings.
This year's active intramural legends are Mitch Risley, Caroline Tarpley, and Sydney Wiseman. Risley is now a graduate student at Georgia College. He definitely left his mark on Georgia College intramural with 600 wins and 55 championships.
He also won Athlete of the Year back in 2016. I had the chance to catch up with our intramural legends and got to hear what they had to say about it. I talked to Sydney Weissman, who is a junior mass communication major. She plays dodgeball, basketball, flag football, among other sports. I asked her what it felt like to be an intramural legend.
It's fun, I guess. It doesn't really come with any perks other than the name, but I guess it's nice to be recognized in that way.
Okay, so what does it take to be an intramural legend?
When talking to the head people at Rec Sports, it's just usually the best athletes within each grade. Also, it comes down to number of teams you're on and number of wins and championships you're getting.
Sydney told me her favorite intramural sport is flag football.
I love playing football because it's just a bunch of catching and running, and yeah, just good movements, and all the teams I play for are competitive, and we just have a good time together.
I also talked to Caroline Tarpley, another legend, about her favorite intramural sport.
I love cornhole. I know it's not really like a sport, but it's super fun. Probably basketball is my favorite.
Did you know that Intramural Legends was even a thing before receiving the title? Like, was this something that you wanted, or was it something you were just kind of granted?
I knew it was a thing. I had a lot of friends that are legends, and I played on teams with them. I always thought it would be cool, but I never really knew that it was something that I would be able to get.
In addition to Caroline, Sydney, and Mitch, 3 more legends have recently been recognized: Braxton Roberts, Jackson Sutko, and Bree Marzianich. Congratulations to these legends.
Overall, the ladies of Zeta Tau Alpha are leading in the post-early fall season with 370 points. Kappa Delta is slightly behind at 350 points, and Phi Mu is in third place with 290 points. And the men of Alpha Tau Omega are leading the fraternity standings with 350 points. Delta Sig is in second with 330 points, and Pike is in close third with 310 points.
Best of luck to all the sororities and fraternities in the following games as they close out the season.
Coming up,
we'll take you to our entertainment segment. Stay with us.
The Bellamy at Milledgeville, community and lifestyle for the modern college student. Close to campus, fully gated, and a full-service professional staff. Come take a tour at the Bellamy or apply today at BellamyMilledgeville.com.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to GC360. I'm Anna Paula Sanchez. And I'm Gabrielle Duchateau. It's time for entertainment news. This week, we started a tour around the local restaurants in Milledgeville. That begins GC36, Elise Dunalé takes us inside Buffington's and shows us what's the best thing to order.
Milledgeville has so many restaurants. How to decide where you're gonna eat tonight? Don't worry, GC460 is here to help you discover some of the best places. For this first episode, we decided to go to a restaurant in the heart of Milledgeville. So today we decided to go to Buffington's to try out episode 1. Buffington's is in downtown Milledgeville, and it's a popular hangout spot for karaoke nights on Tuesdays and trivia nights on Wednesdays. The menu offers a variety of food from burgers to soups, served in a rustic atmosphere. So there are plenty of choices. Okay, so they have snacks, soup, salad, sandwiches, burgers, desserts, plenty of choices. So I'm French and I found something quite interesting. The French dip. I have no idea what this is, so we can try if it's really French. And we might also order like some signature signature dish like the buff burger to try if it's good.
Alrighty, here we go, guys. I've got a French dip with fried pickles and a buff burger with Swiss, okay?
So the French dip is made of a sliced ribeye, white American cheese, caramelized onions on a hot-dog roll served with au jus, and it costs around $8. As for the buff burgers, it is a beef burger featuring pickles, lettuce, onions, tomatoes, and a cheese of your choice, costing $7 to $8.
What are your
That's
thoughts?
pretty good. So I've never seen fried pickles before, but I think it's kind of funny. We don't have that in France, but let's try it. I really like it. That's pretty good. This is a very good burger. I like the bread because it's not like classical fast food bread. It's more like crispy. And the beef is really good. You can see that it's quality beef. So about these fries, they're different from French fries for the shape, but they kind of taste the same. It's kind of good. So this was a really good meal. The quantities were just perfect. The buff burger was kind of big, so it was a bit hard to eat, but it was good. I really liked the French dip sandwich, which is not really French, but it was good anyway. And I was kind of surprised by the fried pickles, but I'm kind of convinced. So, I had a great lunch. The atmosphere was really cool, the service was quite nice. Buffingtons have had 9 years of success downtown Nashville. Will there be more to come? Reporting for GC360, I'm Elizabeth.
Catch us next Thursday for more entertainment updates. Back to you, Emmett and Kat.
Now, we want to correct something that we reported earlier about the T-Splosh vote. That's the county initiative that would have raised sales taxes in Baldwin County by 1 percentage point to fund road repairs. The numbers we reported earlier were incorrect.
The T-Splosh went down to defeat with 7,858 no votes, or 52.93%, and 6,988 yes votes, or 47.07%.
And that's all for this edition of GC360.
When we're not on air, we keep you up to date on our social media pages and our website, gc360news.com. I'm Kat Capstick.
And I'm Emmett Schindler, always available to you, GC360, where news comes full circle.
The Bellamy Advantage.